Hello and welcome to the first installment of Beginner's Circle, where I'll be going over some of the more basic concepts of the game for lower ranked players. After making my latest Diamond Tips video, I had a lot of feedback from Gold to Diamond players saying that it helped them a lot, whereas the Bronze to Silver players didn't feel like they could take that much from it due to certain playstyle differences. That sparked interest in me to start a series aimed at helping Bronze to Silver players specifically, and I figured what better place to start than starting items. Now, hold on before you close the video. I know some of you out there going, ugh, come on, we're not that dumb. But based on players I play with in Diamond, I think even they could learn something from this video. With how momentum based this game is nowadays, you can quite literally lose the game the second you buy your items. You might think I'm kidding, but I'm serious. So stay for the ride and see if there isn't something you can learn. I'm going to make a separate video for each lane just so I can go a little more in depth without worrying about video length. So if you're not a top laner, don't worry, I'll be making a video for your lane soon enough. Previous to the Freljord patch, top lane was essentially dominated by the Elixir of Fortitude start, simply because it allowed early kills, prevented early deaths, and also prevented tower dives, all at a low price of 250 gold. However, the cost has since been increased to 350 gold, making it a less desirable choice because you can only start with 3 health potions and no ward, or a single health potion and a single ward. That being said, it's still an incredibly popular start for top laners and allows you to all-in burst your opponent very early on. If you're looking to go aggressive, Elixir of Fortitude is probably the best choice for you. With other changes in the Freljord patch, we're no longer seeing 9 or 11 health potion starts, but that has in turn made the Rejuvenation Bead, 5 health potions, and Ward start more popular. We also see some people running double Rejuvenation Bead and 3 health potions, or a single health potion and a ward, but that's not as popular simply because most people prefer to go for Sunfire randoms before Warmogs, so the beads end up getting sold somewhere along the line. It should also be noted that you can build Aegis from Rejuvenation Bead, but it's not a very common item for top laners overall, unless you're playing at something like an Elise or Rumble. Next up we have Cloth Armor and 5 health potions, which used to be an extremely common start back in Season 2, but because top laners are now expected to start with a ward, it's become a less desirable choice. We do see this build commonly from people like Dyrus when they're playing Shen in a 1v2 lane, but those aren't anywhere near common in solo queue, so we'll ignore that for now. It should be known that you can also start Cloth Armor 2 health potions and a ward, but 2 health potions typically isn't enough in laning phase without any other sustain available to you. Next, we have the Crystalline Flask, which allows you to take either 3 health potions or a single health potion and a ward. We commonly see this build on champions like Malphite or Nidalee, who will be using a lot of mana to rise through the laning phase. Crystalline Flask is an incredibly cost-efficient item, and assuming you sell it somewhere down the line, it pays for itself in only 4 charges. Even if you're not looking to harass a lot early on, this is still an incredibly good item for sustain. Lastly, I'm going to talk about the item starts that I feel are more or less noob traps that I see often in lower elo games. For starters, all the Doran's items are less than desirable simply because you aren't able to get any consumables, which means you'll be very vulnerable to ganks and you won't be able to trade with your lane opponent effectively. The same goes for items like Ruby Crystal, No Magic Mantle, Sapphire Crystal, and so on. After Boots of Speed starts absolutely dominated the scene in Season 2, they received a nerf and now they're practically useless on a top lane champion in terms of starting items because of lack of consumables. I believe we've covered all the common item builds, so let's summarize and try to organize the item starts the best way we can. Item starts for top lane can be grouped into aggressive or defensive choices, so let's get started on the aggressive side. The best option here is Elixir of Fortitude by far, whereas every other option is extremely lackluster for reasons we discussed earlier. This is pretty much the reason why Elixir of Fortitude became so popular in the first place. It's literally the only aggressive option in the game for top laners that also provides them with some safety. For this reason, if you're looking to play aggressive, you'll almost always want to buy Elixir of Fortitude with your choice of consumables, either 3 health potions or 1 potion and a ward. Moving on to the defensive tree, we have 2 options that are pretty close in relative power level, Rejuvenation or Fairy Charm, and Crystalline Flask. It boils down to preference, but Crystalline Flask is generally a better option for champions that will be spamming spells more often, whereas Rejuvenation Bead will give you more health sustain, and Fairy Charm is good for champions that build into Manamune, such as Jace. On a tier of its own, we have Double Rejuvenation Bead, which is a good start for extremely passive laners that just want to sustain through the laning phase. Down another tier, we have Cloth Armor, which is a bit of an outdated choice, but it's still well suited for someone like Malphite who benefits a lot from armor. And lastly, we have the undesirables in No Magic Mantle, Doran Shield, and Ruby Crystal for the reasons we discussed earlier in the video. Keep in mind that for top lane champions, sometimes defensive items are purchased to play aggressive. An example of this is Crystalline Flask. Having more sustain allows you to trade more with your opponent and come out on top, and more mana restoration enables you to get more spell casts off. Also keep in mind that top lane champions are incredibly vulnerable without an early game ward, so always try to fit a ward into your build rather than go for extra health potions. An exception to this rule is when the other team has a very weak early game jungler such as Malphite or Warwick, or when you want to all-in your opponent before 3 minutes with an Elixir of Fortitude. Remember, I'm making videos for all the other lanes, so if I didn't cover your favorite lane in this video, make sure to tune in to future videos. As always, please let me know what you thought about this video in the comments section below. Also, my channel page went through some changes, so make sure to let me know what you think about that as well. That's it for this video, and I'll see you all next time.